Okay, so this is going to be our second video on solving equations, and I called it level 2. We're kind of building up and trying to solve more difficult equations. So we're going to just do some examples, see if you can kind of get the hang of this a little bit. An example of what I'm talking about being a little bit harder is what if I have x's kind of spread out in the equation. So I have 3x minus 4 equals x plus 12. Okay, so if I wanted to solve this equation, first thing I do is I kind of look at the equal sign as the line down the middle. And anytime I want to cross that line, I kind of do the opposite. So one thing I could do is I could take the negative 4 here and flip it across the line so that it turns into, when it flips, it turns into a positive 4. So that would be one step that would be nice. So I'm going to cross this out. And if I cross that out, I only have 3x left over on that side. So I write it down. On the other side, I have x plus 12 plus 4. So that means I have x plus 12 and 4 makes 16. So I'll put those together. Then get your x's together. So like this x needs to be on the same side as the other x. So if I flip the x over, right now it's a positive x. There's no plus sign there because you don't really need it, but I know it's positive, so I'm going to flip it to a negative. And this reads 3x minus x. So if I have 3 x's minus an x, I only have 2 x's left over. So 2x equals 16. And my final step is to take the 2 x's and divide them into 2 groups, divide the 16 into 2 groups, and x is going to equal 8. And I got my answer. So x equals 8. If I wanted to be able to check my answer, here's how you do a check. And this is what gets you like a level 4 in the classroom, like an advanced score, is being able to check your answer. So to check your answer, it's actually kind of easy. You go back and you copy the whole entire problem. You copy 3x minus 4 equals x plus 12. But instead of putting a line down the middle and solving it, instead we think we have an answer. We think it's 8. So what I'm going to do is circle each of these x's, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an 8 in there because I think that's the answer, 8. So instead of 3x minus 4, I'm going to have 3 times 8 minus 4 equals 8 plus 12. You're just replacing, you're substituting the x, you're substituting in the answer. So I think it's 8. Let's see if it works. What's 3 times 8? That would be 24 minus 4 equals 8 plus 12. What's 8 plus 12? It's 20. And 24 minus 4 is 20. So I get 20 equals 20. And does 20 equal 20? Yeah, of course it does. So check, it worked. If I had done all this work and I had gotten like 15 and 20, then that's when I know something's wrong. These have to match up. If this is the right answer, then when you do your check, you have to get matching answers. A really common mistake in class is when you teach how to check your answers, a lot of kids start circling this and thinking that's the answer. That's not true. This is still my answer. X equals 8 is what x is. This just proves that it works. So we got proof and we've got the answer. And this is really good. If you can do the check and the solve, you can do both, then you're doing really well in class. So let's try another one at this same kind of level. How about this? You have negative x plus 5 equals 2x, we'll say, plus 32. Okay, so if I was going to solve this, I would put a line down the middle as my first step. So a line down the middle. We're going to flip things around. We're going to try and get things together. You can go either direction with your x's and your numbers. So like if I want to get the 5 over here, that would work. I'll make it a negative 5. If it was a plus 5, flips to a negative 5. So I'll cross it out, and I have a negative x equals 2x plus 32 minus 5. So 32 minus 5 is 27. And then what I'm going to do is get the x's together. So these two x's I'm going to move over. They're two positive x's, so when they move over, they become negative 2 x's. And if I look, I've got a negative x and 2 negative x's, so altogether that's negative 3 x's equals 27. Now normally when there's a number at the end, we usually just divide. So I'd say, okay, our next step is I want to divide by 3. But since it's a negative, I'm going to have to divide by negative 3 on both sides. That gets rid of the 3 and the negative sign at the same time. So I get x equals 27 divided by 3 is 9, and since it's negative, it's going to be a negative 9. And there's my answer. So let's go do our check since we're working on that. Here's my check. The first thing I do is copy the problem. So remember it was negative x plus 5 equals 2x plus 32. And we think we figured out the answer. We think it's negative 9. So I'm going to circle these x's, and I'm going to put negative 9 in there. Put a negative 9 there, and I'm going to put a negative 9 there. This one's actually kind of a tricky check because when I put the negative 9 in, I'm going to put parentheses around them just to kind of bubble it. It was a negative x originally. So now it's a negative 9, which people have a hard time with this. Negative x is now a negative 9 plus 5 equals 2 times negative 9 plus 32. This is the thing we're going to have to solve. So what do two negative signs really mean? They mean positive 9 plus 5. What's 2 times negative 9? That's negative 18 plus 32. 9 plus 5 is 14. And 32 minus an 18, because it's negative, is also 14. So we get check, check. It works. So negative 9 must be the right answer. So why don't you try one? I'm going to put one on the screen up here. Pause the video and do it yourself and see if you can get this. And here's our example. We're going to do 6 minus x equals x plus 8. Pause the video and try it. Okay, so hopefully you've unpaused the video, you've done the problem. I'm going to put a line down the middle and catch up with you now. There's lots of ways to do these. My instinct is to move the 6 over, so it's with the 8, and make it a negative 6. It's a positive 6 right now. This is a plus 6. So when it flips, it turns into a negative. So I'm going to have this cross out. If I cover that up, there's still a minus x. So I still have a negative x equals x plus 8 minus 6 is 2. So that's what I end up getting in the next line. Then if I flip this x over, it turns into a negative x. So I have a negative x and a negative x. That's 2 negative x's. So negative 2 x's equals, cross this out, equals 2. Now I divide. Divide by negative 2 and divide by negative 2. And x is going to equal 2 divided by 2 is 1, and it's a negative, so it's going to be a negative 1 is my final answer. To do my check, I'll put my check over here, and I'm basically going to copy the problem. 6 minus x equals x plus 8. And I'm going to bubble in my solution. So I'm going to circle the x's and put negative 1 in here for both of these. I'll even use parentheses to kind of block it off. And if I put a negative 1 in there, I still have 6 minus the x. So 6 minus negative 1 equals negative 1 plus 8. 2 negatives make a positive. So this is 6 plus 1 equals negative 1 plus 8. And 6 plus 1 is 7. Negative 1 plus 8 is also 7. Check, check. Must be the right answer. Okay, so look for the next video. We're going to keep practicing this. Look for solving equations level 3 to kind of continue your skills and get better at this. The best way to get better is practice. Do the homework and keep practicing. So I'll see you in class.